Assalamu alaikum. This is part two of our look at Marshall McLuhan and modern social media. So last time in part one, we discussed McLuhan's dictum, the medium is the message. So now let's apply this to Gaza and see how McLuhan's insight applies to this situation. If we look at Israel's hasbara, their propaganda, it assumes that content is key and decisive for influence because it has been that way in the past. So they believe they can shape the story, censor images, censor articles, pull strings on large media outlets, deny genocide, deny truth, veto the United Nations, push all opposition into a terrorist or anti-Semitic framework, and maintain control of the narrative while accomplishing their end goal of ethnic cleansing. Now, all of these measures and methods are correct and true or have been in the past. But McLuhan's assertion indicates that this misses a real point and that the Israeli/Western framing does not understand the reality that the medium itself determines not only the message, but also its reception. Remember, the medium is ontological in the sense that it can affect the very being of individuals and social realities. So it's very powerful in this sense. So when the medium is primarily state-controlled or corporate legacy media, beholden to official government narratives, governments can and do dominate and control perception. But when the medium is a highly networked series of heavily interconnected nodes, that is a massively many-to-many digital space, such as TikTok or X or Telegram, WhatsApp, Substack, etc., the structure of the medium is able to resist control. Suddenly, the message is no longer centered around Israeli talking points or Western talking points, but rather the existence of a decentralized participatory media makes censorship porous, allowing repeated circumvention and end runs around attempts at censoring. And the medium reveals human suffering in an unmediated form. So in a sense, instead of having salaried corporate reporters beholden to a corporation and its top-down control and self-censorship structure, we have every social media participant acting as a potential unmediated reporter, and we have raw footage of events that are not beholden to controlling frameworks that attempt to shape a story before allowing the world to even see it. So the platform's immediacy, its accessibility, its viral structure makes them engines of witnessing and solidarity. So anyone on the ground can record atrocities and reach millions without mediation. This radically undermines official state narratives. So the message is not what legacy media coverage says, but what the medium can teach us about authority, empathy, and engagement. And so humans react honestly and sincerely to human suffering that is no longer mediated through the lens of geopolitical framing and hasbara propaganda. So the continuing logic of the legacy media says, let's suppress or shape content so we can control the perception of truth. But now the new decentralized medium, by virtue of its structure, has its own logic. Attempts at censorship themselves become a type of content freely streamed and commented on. So everyone is a consumer, everyone is a potential reporter. Shadow bans, takedowns, and algorithmic bias generate instant outrage and counter-analysis, and ironically, further amplify Gaza's visibility. Now, philosophically, this concurs with McLuhan's insight that the message and its reception is heavily dependent on the environmental effect of the medium, and not only on the stated narrative. So the propaganda narrative is no longer sufficient or effective. No matter how many new propagandistic lies are concocted, they cannot get traction on the new mediums. Instead, the medium has become like an exposing mechanism, which quickly dismantles the false narratives. So Israel will say, we are only defending ourselves. The medium, through the live streams of bombed and shot children, says, here is raw human suffering. The perpetrators are war criminals who lie. And humans, precisely because of their humanity, their shared humanness, view the latter as the true message because of the unfiltered medium through which it is conveyed, regardless of the propaganda that surrounds it in other mediums. A kind of human community spontaneously develops that, like the concept of an informal ummah, is based on an emerging feeling that pain inflicted on one segment of humanity is felt by others, by the overall body of humanity, which is a remarkable outcome made possible by these new social mediums. So the message is not just support for Gaza, although that is the catalyst, but that ordinary people now control the visibility of injustice. The medium has shifted power from hardcore gatekeepers to vast networks of interacting participants. McLuhan's angle would be that the decentralized participatory nature of these platforms, these new mediums, is itself part of the message. They redefine authority and truth in public discourse, and the people themselves, in a sense, also become the medium with the help of the amplification provided by these new platforms. The message of legacy media is that truth is curated from above. That's the legacy media, because they want the top-down control. But in the new medium, truth is no longer managed. It is witnessed directly in a very human way. I'm going to stop there and continue in part 3, where I'll relate McLuhan's view on how the medium can nullify lies and promote truth, and consider some other implications of McLuhan views, some really fascinating stuff. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much.